Welcome again to the old principal. I am the old principal. 我就是老校长. Now, what we try to do for this next half hour is we try to tell you a story. Today is actually my own story. Usually that's not, but today it's my own story. And we take an opportunity to look at the English. I will use a little bit of Chinese. Tried to use quite a bit of English to explain English. Again, the important thing is for you to have the opportunity to 增加你的听力. Your listening ability needs opportunities for practice. So, today's lesson is lesson number 196, My Brother, 我的弟弟. And this is actually my brother. It's not the coolest picture, but you can see him. And 这两位小孩子是我的孙子. Okay, these are my grandsons. So, before we begin, we need to listen to the story. So here's the story.
Story 196, My Brother. My best childhood companion was my brother Buzz. We were close in age, being only 15 months apart. He and I were about the same height and weight throughout most of our childhood. His name is really Robert, and usually the nickname for Robert is Bob. In fact, that's what his wife and his friends call him now. But in our family, we called him Buzz. Apparently, when he was a toddler, he walked around the house making buzzing noises like a bee, hence family members called him Buzz. Occasionally, we had differences of opinion, but they seldom led to actual fighting. While I was slightly more academic and liked to play sports, Buzz was more mechanically minded and even a wee bit artistic. He always was interested in tinkering with and even fixing things. After high school, he wanted to learn how to fly, and my parents reluctantly agreed. But marriage and other factors led him to drop college and enter a vocational school where he learned how to repair airplanes. Upon graduation, he passed the government test, allowing him to be a certified airplane mechanic. Having a private pilot's license and being a mechanic was a great combination, but he had a zest for new experiences. So, over the next few years, he owned and ran his own small factory, a vegetarian restaurant, and even raised bees. Eventually, the desire to help people solve their problems drew him back to college. It was no easy task to attend college again. Like many others, he discovered that the intervening years had made academics all the harder. On top of that, he had a wife and 3 children. Nevertheless, after 3 years, he graduated with a BA degree. For several years, he worked as a pastor, but eventually realized that he could be more useful to people by using his gifted hands, designing, building, and repairing things.
Welcome back. We're now looking at this story, 我的弟弟. So here we go. My best childhood companion was my brother Buzz. 我童年的时候 childhood. Okay, child is 儿童, of course, right? And hood means 童年的时候. My best childhood companion, 伴侣, companion, was my brother Buzz. That's what we called him, Buzz. Going on. Well, let's back it up there. Let me just go that one last. We were close in age, being only 15 months apart. Close in age, 15 months apart. 我比他大15个月. So just a little bit over 1 year. He and I were about the same height and weight throughout most of our childhood, at least during our childhood, 童年的时候, we were about the same height and we were about the same weight. 这个体重也是差不多了. Now, he eventually did get taller than me a little bit, but, and boy, he's a strong person too. 很壮. But that's later on, and we'll have more stories a little later on. Going on, his name was Robert. 签名 Robert Ash. Okay, my name is John Ash. He's Robert Ash. Okay, and usually the nickname for Robert is Bob. 这个外号. The name that people usually say is Robert. Some people say Rob, but most people say Bob. Okay? The nickname for Robert is Bob. In fact, that's what his wife and his friends call him now. So almost everyone call him Bob. They call him Bob, and the reason they call him Bob is because it's so common. Everybody does that. Going on. But in our family, we called him Buzz. Now, how could Robert not become Bob, but become Buzz? Going on. Apparently, when he was a toddler, okay, a toddler is a very small child, 刚刚学会走路, so 不久, so maybe 1-year-old to 2-year-old in this span. A toddler then is a child, maybe 走得不太稳定. So we call a very small child a toddler. Apparently, when he was a toddler, he went around the house making buzzing sounds. These sounds of a bee, like a bee, 一个蜜蜂, they make these sounds, buzz, 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 and therefore we call that buzzing sound. Buzz. Okay, and so when my brother walked around the house, he made these buzzing sounds. Yeah, and so everybody said, well, that's cute. Oh, 很可爱. Obviously, I was only a year older, so I'm not sure that I paid much attention to that. But everybody in the family did, and therefore they called him Buzz. Okay, go ahead. Okay, buzzing sounds, 嗡嗡叫. Okay. Occasionally we had differences of opinion. Many children are always fighting. 不同的意见, differences of opinion, and most, well, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of children, they just don't get along well with each other. And they're always we say in each other's face. That's a very modern way of saying it. But they fight. But in our case, we seldom 很少真正的打架. You know why? Because as we grew up, he was always a little bit bigger than me. Since he was bigger than me, in fact, we have a saying. It says, "Choose your fights carefully." 好好选你要跟谁打架. So because he was bigger, I decided, I could do something else besides fight with my brother. So I usually didn't, very seldom. 很少. Okay, going ahead. While I was slightly more academic and liked to play sports, Buzz was more mechanically minded and even a wee bit artistic. Now there's a lot of good words in here, so let's just take a look at that. I was slightly more, okay, 学属性的. I like to study. Now, must admit, 承认 that I was not brilliant, bright, 聪明. I was just ordinary, but I was better than my brother. Okay, so I say 用比较, a comparison. I was a wee bit, a little bit. Sometimes we say a wee bit or slightly. 这个有一点点 more academic and like to play sports. I really did. I like to play sports. Except I had one problem. The one problem is that I was short. In those days, I was too short. So, but I still like to play catch, throwing a ball back and forth. But not with my brother. My brother didn't like sports so much. Okay, while I was slightly more academic and liked to play sports, Buzz was more mechanically minded. Mechanical, 机械性的头脑或天分. Okay, he liked to fix things. He liked to make things. When I say mechanically minded, that means that he had this natural ability, 天分, natural ability to repair things, 修理东西. And not only that, but something else very interesting is that he was artistic. Okay, 他也有一点这个艺术的这个天分. Me? I am not artistic. True. You can just write that one off. I am not artistic. But he was artistic. He was mechanical. I was a little bit academic, more academic, and for sure I liked to play sports. Not good, but better. Going on. He was always interested in tinkering with and even fixing things. Always 总是有兴趣 tinkering with. To tinker with means to play with, to put your hands and try to fix things or change things or modify things or adjust things. And this is tinkering. He was a tinkerer. He liked to play and do things. And fix things. He liked to fix things. Going on. After high school, he wanted to learn how to fly, and my parents reluctantly agreed. After high school, 读完中学的时候 he wanted to learn how to fly. 他要学怎么样驾驶飞机开飞机驾驶飞机 and my parents reluctantly agreed. What does it mean to reluctantly agreed? 勉强同意勉强同意 They reluctantly agreed with him. Go ahead. But marriage and other factors led him to drop college and enter vocational school. You can say drop out of college or you just drop college. Okay? But marriage and other factors. So, 因为结婚的因素 or 这个原因 and other factors 还有一些其他的原因 So he dropped out of college. He stopped going to college and he went to a vocational school. Now, what is a vocational school? That's where you learn to do things with your hands. Okay? He went to 一个职业学校 I never went to he actually went to well at least one vocational school but he eventually did go back to college. He did. And I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Okay? And in this vocational college or school, 职业学校, he learned how to 修理飞机. So he learned how, because he liked flying, and so he said, well, maybe I should learn how to fix an airplane. Going on. Upon graduation, he passed the government test allowing him to be a certified airplane mechanic. Okay, upon graduation, that is when he graduated from the vocational school, he passed the government test, 通过这个政府的考试，通过政府考试，好让他做合格的 certified 合格 certified airplane mechanic 这个修理飞机的专家 so he became an airplane mechanic. Going on. Now, having a private pilot's license and being a mechanic was a great combination. When I say a great combination, it means that you put the two together. He had an airplane license. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure if he ever had an airplane of his own. But he often borrowed other people's airplanes or rented other people's airplanes, and he flew these airplanes. But he could also repair airplanes. So it's a good combination. He flies airplanes, he repairs airplanes. It's a good combination. 两个在一起很好。But he had a zest for new experiences. He had a zest for new experiences. That means 他很想是有一种热情 ，maybe 热情 is a good way， 热情经历新的经验 ，OK。He was always trying something new, something different. Sometimes the things that我是有一点担心 I'm maybe at that time you could say I was not so brave 胆子小一点 but he was always willing to try something new going on. Over the next few years, he owned and ran his own small factory. 他有自己的小工厂 ，OK， 他含有的 it's his own 含有的小 factory 工厂 So, you know what he made? I didn't have it here, but he made 这个房子上的这个瓦，木头的瓦 very special things made out of cedar trees. Okay, he had his own vegetarian restaurant, 素食馆，素菜馆。He even raised 养蜜蜂啊。So he did many different things going on. Eventually, okay, the desire to help people solve their problems drew him back to college. So eventually, 终于, he said, I want to help people. Okay, so he went back to college. 又上大学 okay, drew him 吸引他回来上大学 going on. It was no easy task. 这件事情不简单，上大学不简单。Why? But this is his second time to go to college. Why was it not so easy? Like many others, 很多人，其他的人, he discovered that the intervening years. What does it mean, the intervening years? 经过这么多年，从早到现在，经过这么多年 intervening years had made academics all the more harder. 使那个学术的读书啊，好难啊。You know, while you're young, it seems to be easier to study, right? Yeah, it's easier to study. You're used to it. But as time goes by, it becomes harder and harder. And actually, I explain that next. On top of that, he had a wife and 3 children. He had a wife and he had 3 children. Whoa. Okay. When I say on top of that, I mean 不单是怎么样，还有 a wife, 3 children. Nevertheless, after 3 years, he graduated with a BA degree. 但是过了3年, 3 years, not bad, graduated with a BA degree. 有学士学位. So not bad at all. He's actually quite small, but going on, let's take a look at several years he worked as a pastor. 他是 帮忙教会 ，OK， 做堂主任等等 ，OK。And so he was helping people. That's what he wanted to do. But eventually, his mind started to turn back to his mechanical things. He was so gifted. 真的是有这个天分，用他的灵巧的手。He realized that he could be more helpful by using his gifted hands. 用他灵巧的手帮助别人。And this is what he decided. I can do better by helping people in this way. And he says, I can do, let's go on to the next slide. I can design, 设计, build, 盖 or 建立, or repair things. In America, this is a good job, and many people are academic. They went to school, but they're not mechanically minded. 没有这个机械天分. So he said, I can help people when they have this lack. 他们缺少，我可以帮忙 designing, building, and repairing things. So he is a very highly educated builder and designer and repairer of things. And that's all. We will have more on my brother later, but not at this point. Right at this point, we need to tell you that I have a email address, theoldprinciple@gmail.com, theoldprinciple@gmail.com. 我们的网站是 www.theoldprinciple.org. Well, we've come to the end of another interesting lesson, and we have more to come. Invite your friends to join you for the next lesson. Until then, bye-bye.